Okay, so we're doing our May R.O.S.S class, and we're going to start with our baby bear. So for this one, you can lay on your back and relax. And take a big deep breath. And just notice where you feel heavy, where you feel weight. And we could start with your shoulders. Notice if it feels like more of the bottom tips of your shoulders rest on the mat. And so that might look like this, with my shoulders kind of curled up. Notice if one shoulder feels heavier or flatter than the other. And then notice your pelvis. Again, if your pelvis is sort of tipped back, you might have more weight on the top or bottom or left or right. And this is just an information gathering session. You don't need to do anything with that info. Just notice and breathe. And so we'll compare again in a few minutes and see if anything's changed. And then just start to rock your head left and right, really easy. And so this is the amount of effort of, I'm going to say a 1 to 2 out of 10. I'm imagining if I had wet sand in the back of my head and I could just roll my head, right? Really easy. Now you could move other stuff to your head, your focus. And then switch your focus down to your shoulders. Let your left shoulder rest or press gently into the mat and press your right shoulder into the mat. Notice the difference left and right. So this is really easy. Mushing one shoulder, mushing the other shoulder. And notice, where do things feel loose? Where do things feel tense and tight? And then focus on your pelvis for these next few. Mush right side of your pelvis. Mush left side. So everything's connected from your head to your pelvis. So as your pelvis mushes, do your head and shoulders move? And if not, could you allow for some movement? So I'm kind of doing a log roll, meaning when my left head gets heavy, my left shoulder and left hip gets heavy. And then when my right head gets heavy, right shoulder and right hip. So everything's rocking and rolling like a little boat in the ocean. And I got a little gentle, rocky, wavy action, really easy. Is it easier to go one direction or the other? And then come back and rest again and just notice if anything feels different just from that little bit of rocking left and right. So that's actually sort of a precursor to your baby bear. And this is your full baby bear. If this feels comfortable, to grab your shins or under your legs. And now I can do my same rocking action, but it might be a little more vigorous, not crazy. I'm not doing a big, huge thing. I'm just rocking. It might help to round your upper back like you're holding a big beach ball. You may end up flopping all the way over to one side. So if that doesn't feel so hot, do a modified version where you're just rocking. Maybe you rock to an elbow. Make this really easy, juicy, lazy. Does it feel easier to rock to one side? Can your head roll along with? And then once more, come on back to center. You could have bent knees. You could stretch your arms and legs out and just notice if anything feel different now. And so that baby bear is a release exercise and an information gathering move where you can just check it out and see, yeah, what do you notice? Okay, we're gonna come up to standing now and do our leg swings. Let's see, if you got a block, the block will come in handy for these, but you don't have to stand on a block. I'm gonna stand on my left leg and let my right leg just swing. Whee! Easy does it. Yeah. So this could be tiny leg swing down low. Could be a big old swing. You could do bent knee, it'll fall off the block. You could do straight leg. If you're near a wall might help you balance, or sometimes we use this roller to help you. And it's okay to be a little bit wobbly if you feel like you're like, ooh. You can let both arms swing. You could turn your head. And then turn the other direction, and we'll do a swing, lateral and medial swing. So before we were doing front and back, and this is towards the midline, yeah, towards the outside. And you could do this again, bent knee, straight leg. Oh, this one's harder to not fall off the block. Your arms can move, your head can move. This could be tiny, teeny tiny, could be big. Ooh, you could follow your foot with your gaze. Oh, that's hard to do. If that's too crazy, you can just look straight ahead. To make this really loose, loosey goosey. Yeah. And we'll do that whole thing on the other side. Shake out your legs and feet for a sec. And we got our leg swings. Could be teeny tiny, itty bitty. Could be big. And let your knee bend. So if I really swing my leg back, I can feel length all the way through the front of my torso, hip flexor. If I really kick my leg up, I feel length all the way down the back of my leg. So this is what I call a dynamic warm-up more than a capital S stretch. So we just lubing up hips, shoulders. You can let your torso move. Yeah, you can play with flexed foot versus pointed toe. And then I'm going to face this way. And we're going to go side to side. So this could be slow, bent knee. Could be quick, teeny tiny. Could be a big old straight-legged thing. Yeah. So is one side easier to move, or do you have more range of motion? And all this should feel good, not, it's like a little bit of work, but not painful for sure. Yep, you could do bent knee, straight leg. Oh, you could try watching your foot. Woo, that's harder to balance. Okay, so I feel like I'm getting more from doing this kind of dynamic warm up. Yeah. Let's try our drinking bird. I'm going to go back to that first leg. And basically, this is like a single leg deadlift. I'm just going to start to tilt forward to some degree. And then I stand back up. So this would be a pretty minimal version. It's a nice starting point. Option 2, I could reach my same arm as my back leg towards the ground. And I might even take my other arm back. So you could have a slight bend in your standing knee, and you could even swing your leg forward. So it could be like a slowed down version of that swinging thing we started with. So I've heard physical therapists call this a golf ball pickup, meaning when you see the guy on the PGA tour and he reaches down for the golf ball, right? So this is a good thing to do with this. If you're picking up something off the floor, how to do it without rounding your back. Okay, now we gotta do some on the other side. Side number 2. Start with a really tiny version, go slow. And then let your legs swing forward, lean. So option 2, same arm is my leg that's moving. So I can tell on this side, I got a much less tight hip and I've got a lot more range just starting off. So one side might be a lot different than the other. Easy does it. I'm doing a little teeter totter. You could bend your standing knee. You could bend your moving knee if you want. We're just starting to play with a little hip hinge, which we're going to use later when we do our deadlift. Okay, come on, off of your block, rest for a sec. What do we got now? Oh yeah, our bridge marching. I'm gonna pop my screen back down for the bridge. Okay, rest here again for a sec. Relax your back. Relax your neck. And then just play with the little pelvic tilt. So I'm hollowing my tummy, rolling my pelvis back and forth. Really easy. See how that feels. Is it same left and right? Do you favor one hip? You can go right down the middle. If you had a little marble, just rolling your marble towards your belly button, towards your pubic bones. That's the beginnings of your bridge. Now you can keep rolling your little marble, bridge up. Pause here and see if you can get length in the fronts of your hips, lengthen your neck, heavy shoulders. Easy does it. Come on down. Piece by piece by piece by piece. Inhale. Exhale. Bridge up. So now we're starting to work a little, waking up. Hammies, glutes. I'm putting this under the stabilization category, but you are strengthening your hammies for sure. I'm calling this a stabilization because I'm working on keeping my shoulders heavy and organized, not letting them creep up. Here comes part 2. Can you hold your bridge, push one leg into the ground, and lift your other foot? In fact, let's do a really tiny version. Push your right foot and just barely take your left foot off the ground. That almost feels harder to me than the big version. Oof, barely lift your foot. I'm marching left and right. Ugh. Yeah. Heavy ribs. And then come down, take a little rest break. Stretch out long. And then we'll do round 2 of our bridge. So this shouldn't hurt your back. It should feel like work and your hammies in rear view. Work here. Keep yourself organized. All right, heel on up at your leisure. Take a second and make sure your ribs are flat. Belly hollow. And then here's part 2. You could stretch your leg up, lower your leg, lift it back up and put it down. Oof. So I'm stretching my leg, lowering it to some degree. And you don't have to get to all the way straight knee. You might keep a little bend in your knee. Lower, lift, inhale, exhale. Let's do 4 more of these guys. Stretch. So my focus is this standing leg is working like crazy, pushing my leg into the ground. Last 2. Last 1. Okay, so I could feel my neck wanting to work when I was doing that one, especially the last few. So I had to really concentrate on soften my neck, soften my neck. It is time for our side plank. What are your feelings on side plank today? No? What about a wall plank? Let's do it. Okay, so this is a nice way to start if you're not ready for a floor plank. I gotta tilt my screen up to here and see if you can find a little wall spot. Yeah. And I'm just gonna bring my arm out to the side to some degree, to a level that doesn't hurt my shoulder. And then I can push my elbow gently, and I'm gonna pull with my hand, pull my ribs away from the wall. So this is mostly these muscles, armpit ribs, and then I can kind of wiggle my shoulders around and see if I can get this organization through my armpit to make my little armpit triangle. Put your hand on your ribs, inhale, exhale, and just let your ribs soften down. So this is 20% of my pressure I'm giving. I'm picturing really wide collarbones, narrow ribs. Yeah. Option 2, pushing your hand. So mostly this feels like a big old stretch for my arm, my bicep, my wrist. Some work here, and then I could make it more intense by walking my feet out or walking my feet in. Okay, any pain in your shoulder on this one? Good. I'm pushing the wall away. Organize through my shoulder. This is a nice get ready for your floor side plank, which can be too intense if you got something going on your shoulder. No need to do things that hurt. Let's go side number 2. So I got forearm option, and it doesn't have to be shoulder height. It could be lower than shoulder. I'm just going to get this feeling of pushing my elbow into the wall, getting these muscles on the bottom of my shoulder, my serratus, trying to get out of my trap. So you can even play with that arm position a little. If you drop your elbow and lift your fist, or drop your fist and lift your elbow, does that work any better to get into that serratus, which is going to help you make your little triangle? Option to do straight arm. Same idea. This is a lot of work for these tiny little muscles. Pushing your hand into the wall. Yeah, soften your ribs down your back. Soften your neck. You might even step back just a hair to get that feeling of width across your upper back and shoulder. Okay, let's come back to the mat for our little ab series. So we're just gonna keep popping up and popping down and popping up and popping down. All right, speaking of shoulders, I'm on a shoulder campaign this month. Reach your arms up, elbows flop out, and then down. Just play around with that a little bit. So I'm doing thumbs in, elbows out, pinkies in, thumbs out, and just see how much range of motion can you get in your arm and your shoulder. And then let your shoulders be heavy. Gently push your head into the mat and see what that feels like. So if I think of pushing my shoulders down into the mat, I feel a little different sensation than if I do elbows down towards my hips. But I do want a little of that organization. In other words, these guys along my rib cage are waking up. Yeah. Inhale for nothing. Exhale. Do start to lift your head to some degree. So you decide how high you're coming up today for this little C curve. Soften your chest. Wide collarbones. Come on down. Yep. So we might just do this little C curve breath. Reach up like you're handing somebody a present. Come on down. What I could work up to is possibly hanging onto my legs, using my arms to help me, as I curl my forehead towards my knees. If that doesn't feel good today, you just stick to your baby version. Oh, that's hard to do. So I might reach, grab a hold of my legs, and I'm thinking, curl myself like a little fiddlehead fern. Yep. And there's lots of leg variations. I could leave my legs here, or I could stretch my legs as I roll up. And roll down, I might drag my heels back in. So that gives me a little hammy work to drag in. Let's do 2 more of some type of your roll up. Yeah. Rolling through your spine. So I'm trying to avoid the Dracula coming out of the coffin where my back and abs are fighting for control. I want my tummy doing the work. But my back can lengthen. Okay, come on then, rest. Whew. Let's do another little check-in. Either bent knees or arms and legs stretch. Just notice where there's weight, pardon me. Notice your shoulders and your hips. Does anything feel different? Okay, I didn't say it out loud, but we have entered the strength portion of our R.O.S.S class. We did some release, we did some organization. I'm going to sit to show you this crisscross move. Okay, so the arm basket I'm trying to make is bringing my hands behind my head, scooping my belly so I'm in that rounded shape. And then if I shrug my shoulders and shrink up my neck, that doesn't feel so hot. But if I can think of reaching my arm bone out of my socket and making this really wide, that feels more organized across this sort of triangle I'm making with my head and shoulders. So try that a couple times. Shruggy and shrink in and crunch your elbows in. That feels kind of contracted in my neck. I'm going to keep my elbows where I can see them out of the corner of my eye, but push them out and try to widen this. Yeah. So I've got a lot of stuff happening, and just doing that, oh boy, that feels like a lot of work for my tummy. And then I can start my twist towards my bent knee, and my other leg stretches out. So even the seated version of my crisscross feels like a lot of work in here, not my neck, my obliques, my tummy, this whole little like armpit zone. Yeah, okay, so that's your practice run. Let's come onto the mat. And you're gonna make your little basket. So I'm up in my C curve. Now that lean we started with, let's go back to that lean on your left side. See if you can keep most of your shoulder blade off the ground. Lean on your right side. Lean on your left side so I can just barely feel this bottom tip of my shoulder blade. If this hurts your shoulders, here's your crossed arm option. Yeah, now we're gonna add legs. One knee bent, other leg straight, and my elbows coming across to my opposite knee. Pull your belly into your spine. Round up with your torso. Get your head and shoulders off the mat. You can pick up the pace if you want. We're going to do about a half a minute. Crisscross. So I'm trying to get my upper body off the mat. Oh, that's hard. Last two. Last one. Come on down and rest. Whew. So do you see how if that was like, I'm at the gym doing a bicycle, like that's a lot different move than that crisscross where it's like, by the end of that, these muscles should be, yeah, burning. Okay, moving right along. What do we got next on our list? Oh yeah, let's come back up to standing. Okay, get some weights because we got our deadlift coming up. I'm gonna say whatever you feel comfortable. You don't have to lift them, you're just gonna hold them in your hands. So 5s, 8s, 10s. This is that drinking bird thing we were working on, but now I'm going both legs, standing on both legs. So I'm hinging at my hips. And then when I stand up, I'm gonna picture pressing my head, shoulders, and bum back into the wall behind me. Lean forward, stick out your tushy. Stand up and lean your shoulders into the wall. So basically the only thing moving is I'm hinging at my hips. Yeah, I keep my hands and weights pretty close to my legs on this move, just so that I don't get to the point where I'm out here and kind of rounded in my upper back. That's not so good. If you feel like you can go down to a flat back or tabletop, that's where we might head eventually, but I could keep this really small range of motion. Let's go 3 more of these guys. Easy does it. A little drinking bird. Good. Okay, I'm going to step 1 foot back and 1 foot forward to be in a little bit of a lunge so I can have my torso closer to parallel to the ground. This is on a row. One of my favorite shoulder exercises. And I could do this with no weights. I could do maybe a medium weight. This is like you're pulling a lawnmower string. Yeah. Elbows go up to the ceiling. Long neck. Relax your neck. Let's do 5 more of these guys. Okay, now let's switch legs and do tricep. Tricep, one of our May moves, tricep extension. And I'm just coming back to where my arm is lined up with my ribs and my hip. And then I bend my elbow and stretch. Yeah. So if I were upright, this would be bicep curl. But because I'm a little pitched forward, so the backs of my upper arms, I'm having to stabilize my shoulders so they don't roll forward. Good, heavy ribs, long neck. And I'm looking down maybe at the end of the mat. Good, to give a little squeeze at the back end, pinky fingers squeeze back. Last 2 of these guys, nice. Excellent. Okay, can you keep your weights for one last thing? We got to do a calf raise. So I'll show you a front and side view. I'm going to push straight up on my tippy toes, lifting my heels and then slowly lowering. So if I don't do this with an intention, see how I kind of boogie forward and back? If I really think, squeeze inner thighs, button my vest, lean on the wall behind me, oof, that feels like a whole different exercise. It's a lot harder in a different way. I feel like my inner thighs, my core, and by core I mean like pelvic floor, bottom of my butt muscles, everything's working a little differently. So this is a calf exercise, but I could turn this into a whole body thing. Easy does it. See how slow and controlled you can come down. Yeah, good. Nice. So I don't want to pop my ribs out. But I also don't want to slump. I want to make this really long line from my head to my ankle. That's hard to do. Let's go last 3 of these guys. 2. Okay. At the end of our strength stuff, let's see. Yay, we did it. We did all of our strength work. Come back to the mat. And we will stretch. Okay, so our seated twist, I could play with sliding this leg up and out to the side and across. And I can move my torso and my whole leg and hip. And I'm gonna find what feels like a happy rest position that makes my knee happy. And then this is where my twist is coming from. I might just turn my shoulders and chest. I could wedgie my arm or I could huggy. And then my head can turn like a little owl. And you can untwist and play with leg number 2. Turn out. Leg can come across. You can slide straight up. You can do a little up and over, or you could cross your legs like little cricket legs. You can let your whole torso and hips move. And then find your happy rest position. Easy does it. So this is mostly shoulders, ribs. My pelvis is staying pretty still. Okay, so we got 20 minutes. I know we did some strengthy stuff yesterday. Do you want to blaze through some of your rows and tries and deadlift a second time, or do you feel like stretching would be the best thing for the last 20? Stretching. We'll do it. Okay, we got to do our quad stretch. Let's see. If you got a strap or a towel, that might come in handy. If you can easily grab your foot, that's what we could do. Otherwise, you could wrap your towel or object or stretchy band and go easy does it. So I'm trying to kind of hide my foot behind my bum. And then play with that rib position. See if you can button your vest gently. And then I might just think of getting my knee to go straight out from my hip. Yeah. Maybe I can take my whole leg back gently. You can also squeeze your heel to your bum and then push your leg. Oof. Switcheroo. Do our side number 2. And so this side might be different. You might need the strap. You might be able to just grab your foot. See if you can button your vest so this doesn't go into your back. But I feel this really specifically quad, hip flexor. Breathe. then I don't have propeller on our list, but I think we should do it since we're here. I can go arm forward, leg back, arm back, leg forward. And this might be conservative version with bent knee and bent elbow. This could be big old swingy, rolly, whatever feels good. So if that feels okay on your shoulder and neck to roll around, or this could be up here with your arm. Yeah. So I like this one because it's a little bit of everything. It's a twist, shoulder and hip and hammy stretch. You can let your head roll. You can loosen up your neck. And then if one of those spots feels like a good hangout, twist this way or you twist this way, you could hang out and breathe. And then flop to your other side. So this side might be different. You might do little bitty, bitty, bitty. You might do big old sweeping. Yeah. So this should all feel really good. If one of those spots feels like a good hangout spot, oh, this is feeling really good on my belly. You can hang out and stretch and breathe. Well, let's do a seated hammy stretch. So this is kind of like that position we were in earlier. You can let one knee flop to the side, or you could even shove a bolster or a pillow. I happen to have a bolster right here. This might feel nice to just let your leg rest. Now, I'm probably not going to get very far with a straight leg and long back. This might be a challenge just sitting up tall, but I already feel a big old stretch in the back of my hammy. And then you can play with stretching your arms, looking up. Yep. And then if you are able to hinge forward a little bit, and that might mean bending your knee a little, yeah, or you can bend and straighten it. And then you can let your back round. If this feels like a good thing, let your head drop, relax your neck, relax your back. And then you can switch sides. If this feels nice to let your leg rest on a thing, this side might be different. Sit up nice and tall. Maybe stretch your arms. Maybe you can even flex your toes back. Yeah. And then you can stay in this hip hinge, or you can round your back forward. Oh yeah, let's do our cactus. Okay, so this one I'll just show you seated. It's basically this. And then I can play with, again, elbows back, fingers back, slidey, slidey. It's a nice way to do it in a real relaxed, chill version is just to rest on your back. And this might be a challenge just to have your fingernails and elbows down. So if that feels challenging, you could put a little something under your elbows. If that feels like, no, it feels pretty good. Hang out there and breathe. And then I could start to play with, can I pick up my elbows and leave my fingernails on the ground? Whoa, that's a different stretch. And then can I drop my elbows and pick up my hands? Easy does it. Elbows up. Ah, that's hard. Hands down. Hands up, elbows down. Relax your ribs, relax your neck. Well, yep, I got one shoulder that goes and the other one's resistant to this move. Oof. And then you can slide your arms up towards your head, down towards your hips, really easy, like you're making a little snow angel. Relax your face. Let this be really slidey, glidey, not like a lot of work. Relax your ribs, relax your back. Keep breathing. And let's do one last stretch, our hip stretch. You can cross your ankle over. And this might be enough, hanging out here or even gently mushing this leg. You might catch underneath your other leg. And then you can switch sides. Easy does it. This side might be a different story. Maybe you stay here. Maybe you grab a hold of your leg. You could even wedgie this elbow into your knee. And then one last time, come on and rest on your back when you're ready. Could be bent knees, could be stretched legs, whatever feels more comfortable for your back. So we started with picturing your shoulder blades and your hips on the resting on the floor. And just notice if that feels any different. The position of your shoulders and hips. And does one side feel different when you compare left and right? And you could give a little roll left and right like we started with, just real easy. Notice if it's any easier to roll to one side. And you can do this with your arms and legs on the floor, or you could do one last baby bear. You can never do too many baby bears. Let's see if it feels like any easier to floppy, 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 floppy. Or this could be a really easy little knee sway. You could cross your arms and give yourself a little hug and try your roll that way. Oh, that's nice. You could say, good job today, sweetie. And then get to what feels like a comfortable rest position. And in this part, you don't need to see me. You can just close your eyes. And that might be laying on your back, laying on your side. You could sit. You could put your legs up on a chair or a couch or on the wall. So settle into what feels like a nice rest position where you can hang out for a few minutes. And notice your breath. And see if you can notice your breath without making up a whole story or changing it necessarily. It might change just by the fact that you're noticing it. And you might even say inhaling and exhaling. And where does it go? It comes in and out of your nose and mouth. Can you feel your breath go down through your neck, ribs? Can you feel your diaphragm gently mush down with each inhale? And can you allow your belly to be really soft and squishy? You might even feel a 3D expansion of your rib cage, laterally, front, back. Notice your shoulder blades. We've done a lot of focusing on where your shoulder blades are. They can move a little bit. They can slide up and down your ribs. Notice your armpits. Does it feel like there's a lot of tension in your armpits and chest? And if so, what could you do to soften and relax across your chest, shoulders, armpits? In fact, with each breath, you could say softening, heavy. Notice your face and your eyes. Could you soften the muscles around your mouth and nose? Could you soften the bridge of your nose? Ooh, what about your scalp? Could you let your scalp be really soft? And let your ears be wide and heavy. And then notice the spot on the back of your head where your head is resting on the mat or the carpet. And allow that spot to get wider and heavier. Not that you're pushing your head into the ground. But could you allow for some softness in the back of your neck and in your jaw? So you don't have to do any work to hold your head in place right now. And then cruise down the back of your neck, through your arms and shoulders, all the way out to your hands and fingers. And you let your arms and hands be really soft. And just notice if there's anything jumping out at you when you scan down through your shoulders, arms, hands, fingers. And then scan down through your torso into your hips and legs. You could compare left and right sides. Notice if one leg feels heavier. And scan all the way down to the bottoms of your feet, your toes. You can notice if there's space between your toes. We did a lot of work today on hamstrings. It's work for your feet and calves to do that calf raise. You can just say, thanks, legs. Thanks for being so strong and flexible. I appreciate you. And then scan back up through your feet, your legs. This time you can notice all your joints and your ankles, your knee joints. Notice the bones in your pelvis. Scan back up through your spine. You could notice each vertebra. We did that roll up move and the bridge move to mobilize your whole spine. There's a bunch of tiny little muscles that run along each vertebra, all along your ribs. Scan back up through your neck. Back up into your face and jaw. Could you let your jaw go slack? Maybe your lips part like a little kid watching TV. And then anything that feels like it needs a little bit of attention, could you direct your breath to that area? And could you thank yourself for taking an hour out of your day to do something really nice for you? So whatever words of encouragement you would say to someone that you really liked, maybe a relative or a small child. Good job, sweetie. I'm proud of you. And you're welcome to continue resting here as long as you like. If you're ready to wiggle, you can roll side to side, wiggle your fingers and your toes.